Hello, my friends, and thank you for joining me for another exciting episode of Unseen Earth. Today, we take you into the deep history of the pyramids of Giza and the Great Sphinx. Before the pharaohs. Before the pyramids had names, before Egypt had a name, something was already here. On the Giza Plateau west of the Nile, 4 monuments stand in the desert sun. 3 pyramids rising in perfect alignment, and 1 weathered guardian carved from the bedrock itself watching the sunrise. We call them the Pyramids of Giza. We call it the Great Sphinx. We say they are 4,500 years old. We say we know who built them and why and when. But the stone tells a different story. The stone remembers rain that hasn't fallen in 12,000 years. It remembers a face that was not always human. It remembers engineering we cannot explain. It remembers a world before the pharaohs were born. This is the world beyond your map. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share with others. Now, let's get into it. The standard account is this. Around 2580 BCE, Pharaoh Khufu of Egypt's 4th dynasty ordered the construction of the largest pyramid ever built, 481 feet high, composed of 2.3 million limestone and granite blocks, some weighing as much as 80 tons. His son, Khafre, built the 2nd pyramid and commissioned a monument to guard his complex, a 240-foot limestone guardian carved from bedrock with a lion's body and a king's face staring due east. Khafre's grandson, Menkaure, built the 3rd and smallest pyramid. The Giza Plateau, we are told, was completed in roughly 80 years. 3 pyramids, 1 sphinx, 4 pharaohs. This is the story in every textbook. This is the story every tour guide tells. There is only one problem. The stone disagrees. In 1991, a geologist from Boston University stood in the enclosure around the Sphinx and noticed something that should not have been there. Deep vertical weathering, rounded channels cut into the limestone walls, erosion patterns geologists recognize from rocks shaped by thousands of years of heavy rainfall. His name was Robert Schoch. He was not an Egyptologist. He was not looking for a mystery. He was looking at rain damage on the monument in the middle of a desert. The problem was simple. Egypt has been arid for at least 5,000 years. The last period of sustained heavy rainfall in the region ended roughly 9,000 years ago, long before the first pharaoh, long before the first dynasty, long before Egypt existed as a civilization. If the weathering on the Sphinx was caused by rainfall, then the Sphinx was already there when the rain was still falling. Which would mean the monument is not 4,500 years old. It might be twice that. It might be more. To understand what the stone is telling us, you have to understand what the Sahara used to be. 12,000 years ago, the region we now call the Sahara was not a desert. It was a grassland. Rivers flowed across it, lakes filled its basins. Elephants, giraffes and hippopotamuses moved through landscapes we now imagine only as dunes. Rock art from the Central Sahara, carbon dated to roughly 10,000 BCE, shows herds of cattle, hunters with bows, swimmers in lakes that no longer exist. This was the Green Sahara, the African humid period, and it ended slowly and then all at once as the planet's climate shifted. By 3000 BCE, the rain was gone, the grasslands had become sand, and whatever was carved during the wet time was left behind in a dry world. The Sphinx sits in an enclosure. When it rains, water runs down the walls of that enclosure and pools at its feet. Over thousands of years of heavy rainfall, limestone walls develop exactly the kind of deep vertical weathering that Robert Schoch documented. The monument didn't weather from wind, it didn't weather from sand. It weathered from rain that stopped falling before dynastic Egypt was born.
There is something else the stone remembers. Look at the Sphinx. Really look at it. The body is massive, proportioned like a lion, weathered like a mountain. But the head is small, strangely small, disproportionately small for the scale of the body beneath it. Egyptologists have noted this for over a century. Some have proposed an explanation that mainstream academia rarely discusses aloud. The head we see today may not be the original head. The theory is this: the original monument was carved with a much larger head, proportioned correctly to the body. Over thousands of years, that head weathered beyond repair. A later pharaoh ordered it recarved, smaller, human, familiar. The original face may have been a lion, it may have been something else entirely. What remains is a monument wearing a mask. And then there are the pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Khufu is the largest stone structure humans have ever built. 2.3 million blocks, some weighing up to 80 tons. Quarried, transported, and set in place with tolerances modern engineers still cannot reliably replicate. The official story says this was done in 20 years, using copper tools and human muscle. The math does not work. 20 years, 2.3 million blocks. That requires one block to be quarried, transported, shaped, and set in position every 2 minutes. Every 2 minutes, without stopping, for 20 years. And yet the pyramid exists. It is oriented to true north with an accuracy of 3/100ths of a degree. It is positioned at the exact geographic center of Earth's landmass. Its base is leveled to within less than an inch across 756 feet of stone. Its internal passages align with stellar positions from thousands of years ago. The pharaohs could have built this. Egyptology says they did build this. But the precision of the work exceeds what their documented tools should have allowed. The mathematical knowledge embedded in the structure exceeds what their recorded astronomy could calculate. Either the ancient Egyptians were far more sophisticated than we believe, or they inherited something and finished it. We do not know which. If the pharaohs did not originally build the Sphinx, or the oldest foundations of the plateau, then what did they think they were doing? The answer, perhaps, is written in stone between the Sphinx's paws. The Dream Stele, a granite tablet erected around 1400 BCE by Pharaoh Thutmose IV, records a story. The young prince, it says, fell asleep in the shadow of the Sphinx, which was at that time buried up to its neck in desert sand. The monument, in a dream, asked him to clear away the sand and promised him the throne of Egypt in return. He dug it out. He became pharaoh. He wrote the story in stone. But read the inscription carefully. The stele does not describe the building of the Sphinx. It describes its excavation. Thutmose IV did not think he was restoring a monument built by his ancestors. He thought he was uncovering something old, something sacred, something already there. The ancient Egyptians, it seems, did not remember building the Sphinx. They remembered finding it. This is what the stone tells us. 12,000 years ago, somewhere on the Giza Plateau, someone carved a lion from bedrock and set it facing the rising sun. Someone laid foundations that would later become the base of the greatest pyramids on Earth. Someone left engineering behind that the pharaohs would spend 3,000 years trying to match. And then they vanished. The rain stopped, the grasslands turned to desert, the rivers disappeared. The people who carved the first stones on the plateau disappeared with them, leaving nothing behind but the monuments. The pharaohs came next. They built their tombs. They raised their pyramids beside something that was already there. They buried their dead in the shadow of a guardian they did not remember placing. The Sphinx watched. The plateau endured. Civilizations rose and fell around it. Empires came and went. Religions replaced one another across 5,000 years of recorded history. The monuments were buried, excavated, buried again. The face was re-carved. The pyramids were stripped of their casing stones. The names of their builders were forgotten and remembered and forgotten again. And still, the plateau stood. It is standing now. It is standing as you sit, wherever you are, on whatever screen you are holding, half a world away. The official story says it is 4,500 years old. The stone says otherwise. The rain says otherwise. The precision of the pyramids says otherwise. The silence of the pharaohs says otherwise. We do not know who built it. We do not know when. We do not know why. We only know that when the pharaohs arrived, it was already here, waiting. Before the pharaohs, before Egypt, before the map. This is the world beyond your map. Tune in again for another exciting episode of Unseen Earth, where we explore the forbidden and mysterious places on our planet.